Hey Palm Springs, this is Scott, and I'm a librarian at the Palm Springs Public Library. And today I'm going to talk to you about 5 movies about pop music that aren't A Star is Born. Now, there have been 4 movies about A Star is Born. 4. And if you've seen all of them, more power to you. I honestly don't know anyone who can say they've seen all 4. And I think all of them have their pros and cons. This last one has that moment when Gaga and Cooper are singing Shallow, and you just know when she hits those notes, she's going to be a star and that song's going to hit #1, because it did hit #1. And that moment's really hard to capture on film. It really is. So really, more power to Cooper and Gaga. They did a great job with that. But let's move beyond that. And I'm focusing on pop music. Now, pop music in its strictest definition means anything that's popular. And that's a definition I'm taking on here. Our first film does focus more on the pop music that Madonna and Katy Perry and Lady Gaga are known for, however. And that film is Vox Lux, directed by Brady Corbet, released in 2018 and starring Natalie Portman and Jude Law. In some ways, I actually prefer a film like Vox Lux to A Star is Born. It's more of an independent film, so it's smaller, but it's a lot more quirkier, and it focuses around a really strong performance by Natalie Portman. She is fierce in this role. And she portrays a woman who has become a superstar in the wake of a national tragedy. And the origins of her superstardom are basically she was shot in a school shooting. And during her recovery, she wrote music, and she and her sister performed a song that became a hit. She became a huge star, just like Madonna and Katy Perry and Lady Gaga. And this film takes her up more to the present day, where there's been a shooting on a beach, which is linked to one of her music videos. She is really great in this film, and so this film is anchored by Portman's performance. Now, I can't say that any of the music is going to hold up to Shallow, but it is a film that will stay with you. Our next film is the 2006 musical Dreamgirls, written and directed by Bill Condon, and based on the Broadway musical of the same name. It stars Jamie Foxx, Beyonce Knowles, Eddie Murphy, Danny Glover, Anika Noni Rose, Keith Robinson, and Jennifer Hudson. Eddie and Jennifer were both nominated for Oscars, and Jennifer Hudson famously won for her supporting role of Effie White, in which she gives a stellar performance of "And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going." You won't forget her in this role. She's quite good. Now, the film itself was considered something of a disappointment. It was expected to get a lot more Oscar nominations, like Best Picture and Best Director. And those things just didn't come together for it. And while the film maybe didn't quite live up to the expectations that it had, it is still an enjoyable film and it's worth watching. And if you like girl groups, this film is for you. It's basically about the Supremes. It's not about the Supremes, but it is about the Supremes. And a lot of the things that go into making a girl group like that a big success. And there was no girl group bigger than the Supremes back in the day. None at all. Our next film is also about a girl group. It's The Sapphires, a 2012 Australian film directed by Wayne Blair. It stars Chris O'Dowd, Deborah Mailman, Jessica Mauboy, Sherry Sebens, Miranda Topsell, Tori Kittles, and Eka Darville. The Sapphires is a really fun film. It's about an Aboriginal girl group that is discovered by a talent scout played by Chris O'Dowd, and they travel to Vietnam to play for the troops. So this is set in the late 60s, early 70s. It is a lot of fun, but it also deals with a lot of issues that are related to being Aboriginal and Australian issues too. So that's interesting how it explores those things. While the girls don't ever quite achieve, not just quite, they just don't get anywhere near close to the success that the Supremes achieved. That's not what the film is about. And it's about their relationships and how they get along with each other. And so it's quite a winning film, and in its own way is maybe more successful than Dreamgirls. It's a lot smaller of a film, but it also did play at a competition at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival. So I highly recommend it. I think you'll like it. Our next movie is the 1996 film Grace of My Heart, directed by Allison Anders and starring Ileana Douglas, Matt Dillon, Eric Stoltz, Bruce Davison, Patsy Kensit, and John Turturro. Like Dreamgirls isn't about the Supremes, Grace of My Heart isn't necessarily about Carole King in the Brill Building. It is set in the Brill Building, and in some ways Edna Buxton is similar to Carole King, but not in all ways. Edna Buxton is played by Ileana Douglas, and it becomes clear after trying to make a career out of being a singer, it's not going to work out for her. I know, with a name like Edna Buxton, you think it would. But, sometimes dreams don't come true. But what does happen for her is that it's discovered that she can really write songs that will become hits. And so she writes hits for groups that are kind of like the Monkees, a singer that's kind of like Leslie Gore, and she meets someone who's very similar to Brian Wilson. If you're familiar with the music of the time period of the 60s and 70s, you'll notice a lot of really cool things here. Now, as the film moves on, like Carole King, Edna Buxton is able to record her own album, and that's a really cool thing to see her empowered that way. The film was partly produced by Martin Scorsese, and I highly recommend it. Our last film is a 2017 movie called Pattycakes, directed by Jeremy Jasper and starring Danielle MacDonald, Bridget Everett, Siddharth Dhananjay, Mahmoodou Athi, and McCall Lombardi. So the too long didn't read version of Pattycakes is that Patricia Dombrowski, she wants to be a rap superstar, and while she doesn't come from a lot of money, she's going to work really, really hard to achieve her dreams and become Pattycakes. And to say that the film is a lot of fun is a gross understatement. It was a big hit when it premiered at Sundance, and people just loved this film. It didn't make a lot of money at the box office, though, so you probably haven't heard of it, but I do highly recommend it. And Patricia is played in a really winning performance, too, by Danielle MacDonald. Okay, she's really good in this, too. And she works super hard, and at the end, she might just get to hear her song on the radio. So, Palm Springs, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you at the library soon.